we're here today with Felicity Joy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you, Jeff?
I'm doing excellent.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So why don't we get started by talking a little bit about yourself and about your company?
Okay, sure. So I am a life coach, and I've been doing that for 3 years now. And I have just recently begun to specialize in people in direct sales or network marketing, however you want to call it. And I just find that I've been in direct sales. I was in it for about 10 years. And basically, I think that it can greatly benefit by bringing coaching to direct sales so that people are kind of individualizing the plans that their companies give them, their plans for success, that they will have kind of an individualized plan and way to go about that. So
Okay.
That's what I'm looking to bring.
Excellent. So what made you decide to go into coaching?
Well, I always like to say that coaching found me.
Okay.
So I have been a professional actor for over 20 years.
Oh.
And yeah, and, but while I was in network marketing, my upline had a couple friends that were getting into coaching. This was, about 12, 15 years ago. And they were giving free sessions, and she said, okay, well, I'll tell my team and see if I can get some of them to, help you out with your training. And I absolutely fell in love with it. And I remember I had 6 of those sessions. I remember saying to myself, man, if I had a life, I'd be a life coach. I said that to myself.
Isn't that interesting?
My life was kind of rough at that time, and wasn't anything where I would want anyone to try to duplicate.
Mm-hmm.
So, just some low self-esteem there too. But then about 3.5, 4 years ago, I was watching a TV show called Failure Club, and it was on Yahoo Screen. And no one I've ever told has ever heard of this show, and that's why they didn't renew it. But I was in love with this show. It followed 10 New Yorkers who had a big dream, very different than their own workaday lives. And they would meet once a week, and there was a facilitators, and they would say, this is my name, this is my dream. Last week I did this toward it. Next week I'm going to do this. They would give each other feedback. I mean, that was really the show. Very, very simple. Sometimes they'd get involved in each other's lives, and all of them fulfilled their dream after that year. And I was so hooked, completely distraught when they didn't renew the show, and eventually just came to the idea of starting my own Failure Club. So I did that virtually. I was going to meet like they did on the show, but then ended up finding some people that could do it with me virtually. And I've been doing that ever since. About 6 months in, ran into an old friend who was a coach, and he said, I do group coaching, I'll listen in. And he was like, you're already coaching, do you know what you're doing? I'm like, no. So anyway, then I started my training.
Nice. So I was one of those people, I don't know what the Failure Club is, or I've never seen that show myself. So but that's the type of coaching that you do, right?
I do group as well as private coaching.
So give us a feel for what that is, because most of us never saw that show, I'm sure.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, well, I do run my group a lot like that TV show. I mean, even though we know each other now, I have everybody say their name, say what their goal is, because it's just good to reconnect with that. Also, over the course of a year, sometimes it changes. Right. And that's good. That's okay. That means you're engaging with your goal. You're not trying to do something that you thought was a great idea 5 years ago, and now you're not even connected to it. I mean, you really are staying active with it. Then they talk for 10 minutes, give us an update on what they have done toward that goal and what they plan on doing next week toward it. And we give each other feedback. I mean, it really, for the group coaching, it really is that simple. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people would benefit from that kind of advanced accountability, I would say.
Sure.
And yeah, that you have people that people that you care about and stuff like that. Like, we kind of grow to be a part of each other's lives, but people that are really primarily interested in maybe what's most important to you, things that are important but not urgent.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we get those things to the forefront? And that tends to be greatly enhanced by coaching.
Nice.
So in the private coaching, I say that is two segments of people. One that maybe just don't want a whole lot of other people knowing what's going on with them. I mean, they just, some people are real private, and that's everyone's personal prerogative. And then if there are issues that are making you stuck, that seem kind of maybe deep in there or entrenched, maybe you don't even know what they are, that's kind of good for private coaching. So I do coach people through all kinds of issues, but I have found that people that have big goals, that are highly motivated and excited, got a lot of enthusiasm, sometimes like really big thinkers and things that are different from their day-to-day life, a lot of people are in network marketing and direct sales. So I found that to be a good niche for me to target. And there are people that definitely can use the additional support, especially if they have a 9-to-5. Because again, the business is going to be very important, but not urgent on their list of demands every day.
Sure. So you mentioned earlier that you've been an actress for 20 years.
Yeah.
And now you're a coach. So what led you into that transition? Or were you always doing it all along? I mean,
I do find that like most of us coaches have those kind of personalities similar to counselors, where people will just start talking to us about their stuff. I mean, that's just kind of innate who we are.
Right.
But there definitely are some good skills to be picked up from training. I just always believe in getting training when you can and stuff. Sure. So, even getting trained in following your own intuition. So there are things that are definitely like bleed over from between acting and coaching, that whole intuitive piece, because even though you're becoming a character, you're becoming your version of that character. So you kind of have to follow your intuition to figure out how to work all of that out.
I mean, what I found is like you said, to your point, you find your way into the roles that you're supposed to be in life, and it sounds like you found your niche. And if you were to look back and see that, wow, I've been kind of doing this kind of stuff all along, it's interesting, to say, wow, I think I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I don't know if you had one of those aha experiences as you came into this.
Well, I'll tell you what I did have, because the coaching that I practice and got trained in is called strengths-based coaching. And so it's very helpful because we are a very deficit-based society. And often when you come for help, it's because you're pretty focused on your weakness and what you're not doing. Right. So first thing I do with my clients is give them an assessment on their top 24 character strengths.
Nice.
Very eye-opening and very exciting for them to begin to look at what is right about them. And the aha moment for me in coaching was looking at things that are very central to who I am. Mm-hmm. And actually, there are just some ways that I am that I just thought, I'm lazy. Like, for instance, I just really hated the prep for any acting jobs I did. I just hated it. And I was like, gosh, you have a fun job. You love what you do. Like, why do you have to always be in this dread of, and it's not, I'm not bad at memorizing lines. I just didn't want to do it. And I find that like my best work as a coach is very much on the fly. I mean, just being there with a person to support them. And there's a lot of, life wisdom and stuff that I've gained just to be able to share and to give with people. And so I'm like, yeah, I wasn't lazy. It was just something else I'm supposed to be doing. So,
I totally get it.
Things like that said, my strengths are really best suited to this.
Yeah, and I think it's more, if I were to extrapolate what you're saying, I mean, you're good at being present. It sounds like, and it does take that quality to be a great coach. I come from a coaching background too.
Okay.
And, yeah, so I can totally relate, and I totally relate with the preparation, because what I've found is the more you prepare for someone, the less you're able to be present. And you find yourself almost pigeonholing, people, steering them in the direction that you think it should be, because you prep so much instead of listening, and hearing what they're saying, and then, taking them in the direction that they need to be.
Yeah, I mean, I am forever shocked. It's like every single phone call, I'm like, okay, did not know we were here.
Exactly.
I thought we were going to be working on this, and I thought it would go over here. Now I don't think anything. Now I expect to be surprised. I mean, but at first, because that was definitely something that training helped me with. I was doing that all the time. And, when you're counseling or whatever you're doing, being Oprah or whatever to your friends, Dr. Phil, I mean, you're always thinking about their history, and you're thinking, you did this and now this is happening, blah, 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 so not really good at really listening, where you're not planning the next thing you're going to say.
Right.
So you miss a bunch of stuff when you're doing that. And, all those kinds of things that, help me to be present and let me learn at least as much from my clients if they're learning anything from me. That's for sure.
Exactly. I mean, and that's the beauty of coaching, which I'm sure you get probably as much out of it as the clients do, but we won't tell anybody that.
Right.
We won't say anything about that.
You coach yourself if you want that.
Exactly. So it sounds like, even though the preparation isn't there, I'm sure you do some things to stay up on top, stay on top of your game, to keep yourself fresh. Is there anything you can share about, what you do to kind of keep your mind where it needs to be helpful?
Yeah, I do. One of my clients actually calls it mental capital, that she wants to increase her mental capital. I was like, I like that term. I'll steal that. Thank you. But I do this year I actually realized I hadn't made an intellectual goal in a long time. And so, you have different categories where you can make goals. I wasn't even thinking about that since I wasn't in school. So what inspired me actually was Mark Zuckerberg starting a book club this year. And he's got, people online with him reading a book every 2 weeks. And I was like, what? I'm jumping in. I like that. And it's really expanding my mind. It really creates a nice worldview, different information from all different sectors and stuff like that. So yeah, that's definitely keeping me fresh, and something that's a strength for me and a lot of coaches is curiosity. Now, I've always been very internally curious, wow, why did I do that? Always wondering what makes me tick. When I became a coach, I got to strengthen that by being curious about other people. And now I'm really working toward being curious about the world and things that are going on in the world and how it works and stuff like that. So I really think that that's a great way to stay fresh, is knowing your strengths and just continuing to strengthen them, because there's a ton of ways to use them. And if you keep exploring positive ways of using them, then you can also keep yourself out of trouble from using them. Every strength can be a corresponding weakness when it's used in the wrong context.
Sure.
So, right. So if you learn where your strength really thrives and then continue to strengthen it in different ways, that always kind of keeps you excited. It definitely is keeping me excited.
No doubt about it. So if you were going to look at the client successes that you've had, what's the biggest one that stands out in your mind? Like, what's made you feel like, man, this is why I do it?
Well, I think the very first time that I was actually able to work with somebody, and two different things happened that have happened quite a bit since then. One is I have them fill out their 90-day goals and then their year-long goals. And the first time that I was well into the annual goals with that person, that we were like kind of tore through the 90-day ones and we were starting to really work on that annual list. It was very exciting for them and for me. And it started happening so much, I actually kind of created a little tagline for myself that I help people achieve their 90-day goals in 30, because it just kept happening. Another thing too is with that same client, running into them like 6 months, a year later, and they're still doing well in the areas that were really concerning for them when they came to me, really entrenched. I mean, this one lady hadn't been able to bust a particular weight goal in like 15 years. I mean, she would just try at it and lose a few of the pounds and then gain more. And she was in a real bad cycle. And she was still exercising and still doing everything and still below that weight goal that she really wanted to be like a year later. That's just, thrilling to see. So something that I talk about as well with my clients is sustainability. Not just meeting the goal, but how do we meet it in a sustainable way, which really means that we've gone after those mindsets that have led to the decisions that you're making. So that's another thing I kind of don't tell people, because nobody really wants you digging in their mind like all that much. You know what I mean?
No doubt about it.
You gotta talk about the goals, man. It's all about just you getting the goals.
Yeah.
But like once we get to know each other and stuff like that, people let their guard down, and it's really about digging in there and getting. A little phrase we use is, and the thing is, other people don't know how you think. Right. Other people don't think like that. Right. And that's really quality information, because we accept a lot of things and you don't have to think that way. It's not the only way to see it. Right. So perspective shifts obviously are huge.
Excellent. So it sounds like everyone needs a coach.
Definitely.
So
I have one. I am in integrity with that, because I think, I don't know how you coach without having a coach. I think that I think it's hard to stay in integrity. Yep. if you don't. You just can't see the forest for the trees. And even if you don't have one all the time, but that you get those checkups, that you get that outside perspective.
Right. Yep, being coachable is the number one quality for change, right? You got to be coachable. You got to be able to.
Yes. I like that.
So if you were sitting across from someone and they were contemplating going into business, and they had some fears and some reservations, what kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I would definitely just let them know how excited I was for them about going into that arena, because I just really believe in entrepreneurship so much. Like, a lot of people have a lot of faith in their employers, and they have a lot of faith in the stability and stuff that will bring. And I never have. That like never resonated with me or made sense. And like, I don't really get trusting a bunch of people that I don't know their thought. I mean, like, you can always be let go tomorrow. Like, that, right? Like, anybody, anytime, just I don't know. So I just like to, just let people know that I'm excited for them about awakening that entrepreneurship spirit, and not to let that go. So something that applies to almost any issue is baby steps. You know, freak yourself out a little at a time. I mean,
I love it.
How far can we break this down until it's doable? Because the thing is, this is something else that I saw that I've always done is, if you tell me you're interested in doing something, I mean, this is way before I was a coach. The next time I see you, it could be months later, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to remember your name, but I will remember that you told me that you were going to start running next week.
Right.
Just do. And I will see you 5 months later and ask you if you started. It's crazy. So, so here's the thing. My deal is, the next time I see you, I want you to have moved. So I'm not really interested in an impressive action step. I'm interested in a doable action step. I'm interested in the next time I see you that you can say, yes, I did, and you could say, yes, and now I'm stuck about this, but you know what I mean? Make it something that you can do,
right.
Whatever that is, however small it is. Like, you're going to look up on the internet about businesses like that next week. I mean, keep it outside of you for a little while if you have to, but you'll keep whetting your appetite for it, as opposed to starving that desire. You can feed it.
Right. It's great advice. That's excellent advice. I'm inspired.
I'm glad.
I want to start something new now.
Good. And the next time I see you, you at least have to know what it is.
Tell you what it is, though, and then you won't tell me. I'm just kidding. So that's great advice. So if someone's trying to get a hold of you, number one, if you've got something coming up, what's the best way to find what you have going on in your business? And if I'm trying to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do it?
Best way to do it is going to savvyservices.tv. That's my website, SAVVY services.tv. And if you either go to contact me and put your information in, or sign up for my blog. That's where I do a really good job weekly of updating what my next events are coming up. I do have a big conference for network marketers coming up in October, and I'll be splashing my save the dates all over my website soon. They're almost done. And I've got some free informational calls about why somebody would want to be a part of that starting in May. But yeah, I'm kind of getting around the network marketing community, and there's even a meetup now for network marketers called Driven, and I'll be going to several of their events and just speaking to network marketers at large. So
nice.
Think about that.
Yeah, I highly encourage everyone coming to check you out.
Thank you.
So we're all in the CoOpvertising network. That's how we met. That's why we're here. Is there anything that the group can do to help you get the word out, and vice versa? Is there anything you can do to kind of help the group?
Well, I think that these videos will be real helpful. I know, like, for myself, it's hard for me to share things when I don't know the person,
right,
or know anything about it. So, I don't know, maybe something that we can do is like post a few personal things on that site, just so we can kind of feel like we're getting to know each other as well. For those of us that might live close by, maybe we could ever meet or something like that. But I just think that that those organic relationships are what really make it helpful to go ahead and share. So I guess I didn't talk about what you could do for me, but I at least want to. That's something I have thought. I would love for it to be easier for me to just go ahead and share everything that's posted, right, but I really want to feel kind of a connection a bit. So
no doubt. And we've got live events coming up real soon, like in April. End of April, we're planning a pretty big event here in Naperville. So
okay.
Yeah, I'll definitely inform you afterwards. But yeah, so there'll be plenty of opportunities to connect up and solidify those relationships. And we hope that we'll see you there as well.
Well, wasn't I a good transition for you then?
So that's all the time we have, but I really do appreciate the time, Felicity. It's been great. It's been interesting to learn more about what you do, and we hope that we can help you out.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Thanks for doing this. I thought this would be fun, and it was.
That's excellent. So for everyone else, we'll see you guys along. Okay.